Now, I'm not going to go I told you so right now. And if you don't think I have the right to tell everybody I told you so, if you disagree with me, go watch my old Benghazi videos. Go watch them from the beginning. I told you I got connection. I told you I'm plugged in. I told you I know what's going on. Go watch them. All of a sudden, here it comes. Find out that the government basically took a gun runner's, playbook and took it, copied it, and did it themselves because they didn't want to leave any fingerprints. Oh. And what were they doing? Taking arms out of Libya. Taking arms out of Libya to where? Syria. Through where? Turkey. Who was the ambassador Mr. Stevens meeting with the night he got killed? The Turkish ambassador. Because you see, Turkey is our ally that borders Syria, that we would put any weapons that we wanted to smuggle through their borders. I've been saying the whole time, this is a presidential responsibility deal. He didn't order any, he didn't give the cross-border authority. He didn't do a damn thing when it happened. And look at now, we got Tommy Vitter coming out saying he wasn't even in the Situation Room. But Tommy was. Mr. Dude, that was 2 years ago. Our president is responsible for arming Al-Qaeda, the Muslim Brotherhood in Syria. Yeah, because see, our security, our CIA, and our top secrets, like little spy people, everybody, they all knew that in Libya, that if Gaddafi was taken down, the only thing that would replace him would be all these Al-Qaeda linked militias. We, a general, try to stand it down, and have some talks, some peace talks, try to see if we could back this thing up from the edge, so that everything didn't explode and Al-Qaeda controlled militias didn't take over Libya. The White House ignored that ceasefire. They ignored that. Why would you ignore that? When all that stands to happen if you ignore it is you hand a country with a dictator who saw what we did to Saddam and was like, oh, hey, I'll help you out, buddy. Jeez, please don't take my country from me. Which is what was going on with Gaddafi. But hand that country from him to Al-Qaeda linked militias. The one thing that hasn't come out yet that I'm waiting for, the only thing I stand yet to still be verified on, is when we see the tapes come out from the drones that were overhead. That will show the SEALs, the former SEALs, they're there at the CIA, Doherty and Woods, lasing the mortar teams with a laser meant to guide an ordnance from a drone or an aircraft. It's the only thing yet we have to see is those tapes. And if we ever get to see those tapes, I guarantee you that's what we'll see. We'll see. Because those, by the way, those drones, because they have missiles on them that go, like, ride a laser beam into the target so they can see it, that tape will show somebody in the U.S. side, CIA guys probably at the annex, more than likely, Doherty and Woods, lasing the mortar teams, which really is the final coup de grace of the whole thing. And I'm not saying that in a good way. It's an awful thing because the only reason you're lasing the target, like I've said the whole time, when people are shooting at you in the street right in front of you, because believe me, guys are shooting at you in the street right there with rocket launchers, all kinds of crazy shit, grenades, whatever, you want to be shooting back at them. When you're lasing a target, you're not shooting back. So what does that mean? It means that they had been lied to by somebody, that you got backup on the way, you got a plane coming in, you got some armed drones, dude, blah, blah, blah. Just keep that laser on the target. They're inbound. And they died thinking that they had backup. They were lied to by their own country in their last breaths. Now, if you think that's far-fetched, let's go back and look at how I called the gun running thing from the beginning. Glenn Beck did too, but I called that right about the same time, if not a little before even. Because it was obvious. Besides the fact that Stevens, Ambassador Stevens, everywhere he's been in his past history as an ambassador, we've been accused of running guns. See, it's one of his specialties. And on top of the fact also that, what I say, We handed the country to Al-Qaeda terrorists. We have. And now we're sending guns to Islamists in Syria. So, with this most recent Rhodes email from the White House telling Rice what to say, I think we can settle the debate once and for all that the White House was covering up their dirty arms dealing to terrorists, their dirty arms dealing to enemies of America, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but the definition of treason is aiding and abetting or giving aid to enemies of America. Obama is now guilty of treason without question. This on top of, and that's on top of, let's forget the dereliction of duty. Leaving men to die. Men that he is their commander-in-chief. They are his charge. He is our leader. We elected him. I didn't, but a lot of you did. Elected him to be the commander-in-chief, to be in charge of our armed services. And this man in charge of our armed services did what for them the night that they needed him most? He left them out to dry. He left them to die. He didn't do a damn thing because Tommy Vitor, Mr. Dude, that was 2 years ago, was in the Situation Room. I don't know if he let that one slip on accident, but now we know. And Obama wasn't there. Oh, they love to release a picture of Obama in the Situation Room when they're taking out bin Laden. But try to find out where he is the night 4 Americans died. No wonder it's been so hard, because he was not where he should have been. And then, I wonder how badly he wants to take it back. In the speech he's giving in the Rose Garden, Merkel, the German chair, the German prime minister, whatever, Angela Merkel or whatever, he says, when talking about Ukraine and the rebels in Ukraine or the pro-Russian, people shooting down the helicopters, says, well, protesters don't have the means to shoot down helicopters and do fancy things like that. Protesters don't do that. Only like somebody being aided by the professional military of Russia would do that. Kind of like a protest about a video, and the people in that probably wouldn't have a mortar or the ability to shoot a mortar that accurately if the CIA annexed and killed those SEALs. Because protesters generally can't do that. That's more of a trained guerrilla or military unit that's had practice and is very skilled at what they do. Just like somebody who might shoot a helicopter down in Ukraine. Obama, did you realize what you just said? Protesters can't shoot mortars because it's above their skill level. Just like people in Ukraine can't shoot down helicopters, it's above their skill level unless they're professionally trained or getting military help. Which makes them not protesters anymore, but insurgents and, oh my goodness, attackers, not protesters. So before I go any further, actually I don't have to go any further, I'll just leave it right there. Let's get our shit straight. And let's all realize what's going on here. The press that's ignoring this is covering up a cover-up by the White House. A cover-up worse than Watergate. Because like in Watergate where somebody was burglarized trying to fix an election, no, in this case, the death of 4 Americans was caused by the dereliction of duty of the president who's trying to get reelected was covered up to save a campaign. 4 dead U.S. citizens, soldiers, 2 of them, giving their lives for our country. Those soldiers specifically that are lied to in their last breaths as they lased a mortar team as target when there is no help in the sky. Imagine dying, taking your last breaths after the mortar hits, realizing at that moment that your country, your leaders, left you high and dry and lied to you. And you can say, well, it's not the whole country. It was just the corrupt politicians like Obama. But no, I'm blaming everybody. I'm blaming myself for not speaking loud enough to keep that sack of shit from being elected. I'm blaming all of you who let him get elected through complacency, eking into your lives, into my life and yours, and letting this country come to the point where we would elect a Kenyan for a president who is a Muslim, who is a socialist, anti-capitalist, anti-constitution, somehow constitutional lawyer, but anti-constitution, a-hole to a president. How could we let this happen? It is all of our faults. And because of our complacency that let that man get elected and his dereliction of duty, those men in their final breaths realized that a country had let them down and left them there to die. We all share guilt on this because our complacency and laziness let this country get to where it is. Stop crying to the politicians to defund Obamacare, to defund tyranny, to defund this or that. It's your own damn battle that you have to fight, and you have to do it in your own life. That eternal vigilance is what we lack. Eternal vigilance that we should all have sworn and kept that oath to protect freedom. That is the only thing that will save us. We have a man running the country who has left men to die, and we have been either party to him through voting for him, or through our complacency and not waking people up or keeping our neighbors informed, let him get into office and do that. America, today is a sad day. But now that there is no more denying that the White House is directly involved in covering up the death of 4 Americans just to keep its political life alive, if you will not admit it now and not demand the truth, you're not fit to be my countrymen. Our forefathers roll in their graves in shame that you are one.